In March of 2021,
the Global Water Partnership Caribbean
officially launched its first ever children's book titled Saving Water, The Journey of Two Caribbean Kids to Understanding Water Security, which is currently available on Amazon. The book is co-authored by GWP-C and Grenadian author and artist Kwamina Brizan-Arnaud, who also prepared the brilliant illustrations in the production. Though the book is generally targeted at kids between the ages of 9 to 12 years old, it takes kids or any reader on an educational adventure. The book follows the main characters, 10-year-old twins Janelle and Joel from Grenada and their parents as they journey to 15 Caribbean countries to observe their main water issues and possible solutions, with the twins being empowered to become water changemakers. With the help of some amazing children from across the Caribbean and myself, join us on this Caribbean adventure to learn how you can become a water change maker. All the way from beautiful Belize, my name is Lisa Lewis, and I am delighted and excited to be your host for today. Welcome to GWP-C Reads. It was a horribly hot day at the beginning of July, but still, the students of Grenada Academy were excited to experience their long-awaited career day. It was almost a year since all school activities had been suspended because of the pandemic. Today, however, was Liberation Day. The bans were finally lifted, and it was the last day of school. The famous twins Janelle and Joel Charles were hungry for an activity of this sort. These two intelligent but mischievous kids missed the chances for their overactive brains to learn, challenge, create, and even make practical jokes and pull pranks on their classmates. On the list pinned up on the school's notice board, they saw a career they knew very little about. It was a water specialist, and it spiked their interest also because in their spare time, they spent countless hours with their parents in waterfalls, rivers, lakes, and the sea. They rushed into the room with excitement just as the specialist was about to begin. She opened their eyes in a very meaningful way about the importance of water and challenges faced in managing the water supply in Grenada. She also mentioned that water is a poorly managed resource in Grenada, and it stems from failure to implement the national water policy. Another thing the kids learned was that climate change also had an impact on the available resource. The water specialist also spoke about the sister isles, Curiaco and Petite Martinique, and their reliance on mainly rainwater with additional desalination plants. She explained that this poses challenges and results in water shortages. The twins realized that they had been taking this precious natural resource for granted all their young lives. They wanted to take action and help out, but the question was how? They left school that day excited and chatting about the day's event. With the help of our readers, Isaiah and Aman, let's see what Janelle and Joel discover in their own country, Grenada, Curiaco, and Petite Martinique.
The Charles family lived near the beach and had a beachside outdoor bathroom they added when the pandemic began. When the kids got home, Joel jumped in that bathroom, and as luck would have it, after he had gotten completely covered himself in soap, the shower went dry and a scary coughing sound came from it. He screamed, "Mommy! Daddy! The water is gone! Help! I am all soapy and it's getting in my eye!" Mrs. Charles came running to his rescue and laughed, saying, "Oh, my little soapy monster, look at you. Do not squeeze your eyes so tightly and relax." Janelle poked her head in and rolled with laughter. Joel looked as if he was attacking his mother in a panic. Janelle ran off shouting, "Dad, whatever you do, do not go in there. There is a crazy, abominable snowman on the loose. Mrs. Charles quickly brought in a bucket of salted water to help Joel wash off the soap and calm him down. And it was the first time the kids experienced a water shortage at home.
At dinner that evening, they all got serious when Joel began to share with his parents the talk they had about water scarcity and management at school. Janelle added saying, "Mommy, Daddy, it's very simple. We really want to make a difference when it comes to water, and we need your help." Mom said, "I think it's an absolutely great idea. You can call yourselves Water Changemakers. Changemakers are persons who take action to solve a social problem and keep trying until they make a difference or see a change. They are also very inquisitive and motivated, like the two of you." With that, she gave them a friendly pinch on their cheeks and added, "I also understand that the increasing demand and usage of water in Grenada contribute to the water shortage problem, so solutions are necessary." Joel added, "Mom, that experience with water going while showering today was a sign. So what can we do as kids or as a family? The Caribbean can be in serious crisis if we don't act now." That night, when the kids were asleep, the parents talked about the issue further. They owned a boat chartering company, and since the pandemic, they had more business because many airline companies had closed down. People now used boats, ferries, yachts, and canoes more than ever to travel around the Caribbean. Mr. and Mrs. Charles decided to plan a boat trip for the kids during the vacation and visit the 14 countries they spoke about. The next day, Mr. Charles contacted friends he made from his Caribbean boat travels in each country and asked them to organize an educational expedition for his kids to learn about the main water issue in each country. It took them a few days to pack the porter catamaran before they could set sail. As they left Grenada, the kids squealed in unison, "Ship ahoy!" and they were off.
Wow! What an amazing update! I certainly learned a lot, and I hope you did too. Wait a minute. Is that the sound of steel pans I hear? Is it carnival time already? Or is it a celebration of lights? Let's ask our readers what the twins are up to in Trinidad and Tobago.
When they arrived in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, their family friend, Mr. Singh, greeted them with his two kids, Crystal and Christian. They headed off in a tour bus on their first of many field trips based on water issues. The heat was even more unbearable in Trinidad, and the landscape was still dry, although the rainy season had begun. The kids were all hungry and thirsty, so they stopped in Port of Spain to grab a bite. Janelle wanted to use the bathroom in the small restaurant they chose, so her mother went with her. Upon entering, they saw the pipe water dripping away, and Mrs. Charles quickly turned it off. To make matters worse, in the toilet bowl, the water was running non-stop as if there was a leak somewhere. After eating, they hurried back to the bus, and Janelle shared their bathroom experience with everyone. Joel was unusually quiet since they left Grenada, but he finally broke his silence. "Daddy, where exactly are we going? I'm bored." Before Mr. Charles could answer, Christian said with excitement, "Boy, we go in and visit the Hollis Dam. That's where Port of Spain gets water from. You know, it's the oldest dam in Trinidad, and it's also a tourist attraction. You will like it. When they arrived, the kids pelted out of the vehicle, eager to explore. Mr. Singh lamented, "Oh no, the water level is unusually low. Kids, do you understand what is happening here?" "Not really. It just looks amazing. It looks like a lake with a show and everything. Can we jump in?" "What? No, child. You'll drown. And this is where water is stored and treated before it goes to the taps," Mom said harshly. "Mom, I'm just kidding." Mr. Singh continued, "What we are seeing is a great drop in the water level in this dam. It's less than half full. There's a lot of wastage in our country, like the experience in the restroom in the restaurant. Also, the lack of rain in the dry season for the past 2 years made things even worse." The kids couldn't help but marvel at the massive sight. "We cannot control the rain, but we can surely do something to make people save water and manage it better," Joel remarked. "I think it's an excellent thought. In Trinidad, there's a lack of efficiency in water production, distribution, and use, resulting in high water losses and water that is not accounted for," Mrs. Singh commented. "We can make people aware of everything to do with water conservation." "Mom, if I go on TV and speak, will people listen to me? I want to go on TV." Joel has stage fright, so he won't go, but I am not afraid at all. "Of course, dear. I think they will listen more than if it were an adult. Kids your age will surely listen too. Let's make an impromptu stop at a TV station and make this kid's wish come true," Mr. Singh suggested. "I know someone who will be very willing to give you the chance at a station." Sure enough, Janelle got her minute of fame as she urged the citizens to be aware of their water usage and conserve more. The visit was a success, and when they left Trinidad, they understood their mission more.
Okay, I have a little joke for you all. What did the sea say to the sand? It said nothing. It just waved. Hello viewers, it's me, the host you love the most, Miss Lisa. And guess what? We are giving away 15 Kindle versions of GWP-C's book, Saving Water, The Journey of Two Caribbean Kids to Understanding Water Security. All you have to do is head over to GWP-C's website and answer the GWP-C Reads trivia questions based on today's show. Submit your name and details and you'll have a chance to win! Oh, and don't forget, this giveaway is only valid for today during the premiere of GWP-C Reads. So hurry up and get those fingers moving! Did you know that the world's largest single-drop waterfall is located in Guyana? I hope Janelle and Joel don't get too close to that water source. Daniel and Grace can tell us more about what exactly the twins are doing in Guyana.
Guyana was the second stop on this Caribbean adventure, and at the docks, Janelle and Joel met Lisa and Keisha Brung and their parents. They met before when they were about 3 years old, but they couldn't remember them. "Oh my, you two have really grown," Mrs. Brung exclaimed. Mr. Brung changed the topic quickly and asked, "So are you ready for a city adventure?" The kids screamed delightfully and they left the port in a minibus and headed to Georgetown. They stopped on one of the main streets and got out. The men working on the site were on lunch and also taking a break from the midday heat. There was this huge long white structures along the side of the road. Keisha, who went on a field trip of the city 1 year before the pandemic, was very excited to explain. "That is a pipe used to replace the cast iron and asbestos cement pipes which have been there for over 100 years. Lisa added, there were many breakages recently and it cost the water company millions of dollars. When these breakages occur, people are left without water for long periods, so the replacement of all the pipes is the best solution. Mr. Brown summed up saying, so this is the main water issue we have here, and it results in serious water shortages.
Family had lunch with the Browns in a nearby restaurant, and the conversation was mainly about water issues in Guyana and the importance of water security. After lunch, they continued to tour the city, stopping by various construction sites where new pipes are being erected. The children learned a lot about the network of pipes in the city and also information about the water situation in the rest of Guyana. The Browns even had pamphlets with information on Guyana's water issues for the twins to take back to Grenada. The Charles family were heading to Suriname by bus and ferry the following day, instead of their boat. Because of this, they spent the night at the Browns' residence to make transportation easier the next day.
How cool is that? This journey just keeps on getting better and better and better. I can't wait to follow up and see what the twins do next. Suriname is best known for its rich biodiversity and my favorite bird, the kiskadee. Let's see if our readers Jai and Jay can tell us what the twins have discovered in Suriname.
The Charles family left Georgetown the following day and immediately headed in the direction to get a ferry to cross the river that would lead them to another district. There they would eventually cross the border and get into Suriname. It was a long and tiring journey which lasted almost 12 hours. When they arrived in Suriname, they met the Deeds family. The Charles family was hungry and thirsty and could not focus on any water issues other than getting water to drink. The plan was to go to an outdoor eco restaurant in the forest to rejuvenate and inhale fresh mountain air. They were seated in the outdoor bamboo restaurant and given water to start. They gulped down several large glasses of water among themselves because they were so thirsty. They ordered their meals, and while waiting, the kids jumped into the river to cool down. After half an hour, the parents heard one of the kids coughing as if the person was choking. They rushed to the edge of the water. It seemed in a brief second, Janelle got a big dose of river water in her lungs. After the coughing stopped, she felt ill and was holding on to her stomach. At the same time, as if the twin connection was in full effect, Joel vomited. When Joel could finally talk, he said, "Mom, I'm not the one who drank the river water, but now I am feeling sick too." "Well, son, that is mind over matter."
I forgot to mention, but there is a gold mining operation upriver, and the water may be heavily contaminated with mercury. In Suriname, one of the problems we face is poor water quality. It is sometimes too not only the mining sector, but the use of pesticides and pollution challenges the water quality in this country. Mr. Deeds added, so a solution the authorities are looking at is more public awareness on water policy and developing surface water laws. After an hour, the twins felt better. On the bank of the beautiful river, Janelle did a live video on her social media page begging citizens of the world to avoid the use of pesticides, take necessary caution when mining, and avoid water pollution in general. After that, they took a boat and traveled upriver, where there was less pollution, so they were splashing in the cool river water again with their newly made friends, enjoying one last bit of Suriname before their early departure the following day. The next day, they returned to Guyana to retrieve their boat, but remained there for the rest of the day to rest and recover from their tiresome travels before settling sail for Barbados for the following day.
That reminds me, I have a funny riddle for you. What goes up when the rain comes down? You'll never guess. It's an umbrella. An umbrella, it goes up because it's rain. Okay, I know, I'm hilarious. Now let's get back to the twin. More than its tropical beaches, Barbados has definitely been making waves in the news lately. Let's ask our readers, Ashriel and Jaden, if they can get autographs from Rihanna while checking on Janelle and Joel in Barbados.
When they arrived in Barbados, the twins were very excited because they had visited the island so many times that it had become a second home. They were eager to meet their friends Tamara and Brendan Adams, who also visited them in Grenada quite often. At the time they arrived in Barbados, Mr. and Mrs. Adams were busy at work, so the Charles family just picked up their kids and they headed off to visit a well in the St. Michael's area. As they approached the location, there were a lot of people gathered around the well. "What's going on?" one of the party asked one passing. "A small dog in the area fell in the well and died." They were all in awe. The two young boys, Joel and Brendan, were already running ahead to get a closer look, but Mr. Charles called them back because Tamara, who loved animals, started crying, so they decided to leave the scene. "Well, kids, you didn't get to see the well up close, but this is one of the main ways Barbados supplies the citizens with water. So extraction of groundwater is necessary for survival, but the problem is that the authorities do not know how much water is in there. There's the other fear of water running out." "Daddy, I can't think about water issues right now at all. I am too emotional about the incident with the dog."
Today's accident was unfortunate, but now you can see why management of these water sources is important. Let's head on to another area in Barbados, but this time for a rainwater harvesting experience, he added. The view of the water harvesting compound was incredible. They toured the entire perimeter. The kids enjoyed the experience at the location. They learned a whole lot about the importance of pumps, irrigation, and watershed management. Janelle even took notes on her tablet. The main thing she noticed was that creating more water harvesting compounds like this one could be a solution. In the end, the children got a chance to run around in the grass playing a kids game called Hit and Run. This location made them forget the event at the well earlier. They left the area exhausted and returned to Adam's family home, where they had an amazing dinner with amazing friends enjoying amazing music.
Let's see what else Janelle and Joel will do on this great adventure. Dearest St. Vincent, homeland and birthplace of my people, the Garinagu, I wish I could see the beautiful volcanic landscape and sail the beautiful waters. Oh, speaking of water, let's check in on our readers to see what the twins are up to in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Bright and early the next morning, the Charles family headed off to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Their first stop was to see a desalination plant in Bequia and to reconnect with his seafaring family, the Johns, who started living off the grid on a yacht a year now since the pandemic, with their two kids, Kurt and Joan. When the two families arrived at the plant, there was a specialist there waiting to give them a little tour and explain how things worked. So kids, a desalination plant is a factory where salt is removed from salt water in order to make the water suitable for drinking and irrigation. Did you know that? Joel and Janelle admitted that they didn't. However, the other two kids knew all about it. The specialist continued and explained that they use that desalination plant to supply baths of Bequia with water and that they normally assist in distributing the water to schools and other public institutions. He added that it was very expensive to run a plant because a lot of electricity is used. So it's not economical to have them in St. Vincent as yet. After the tour, the kids spent a few hours splashing in the crystal clear Grenadian waters before heading on to St. Vincent. The two families on the two yachts set sail to the beautiful Grenadian islands, and when they arrived in St. Vincent, they took a taxi tour bus and visited one of the reservoirs. Although the kids were not in formal school anymore, they knew so much about everything. Joanne told them that a main water issue St. Vincent has is reduced rainfall and an increase in the length of dry spells in the dry season. Imagine sometimes it gets so dry that we have drought-like conditions. I am happy we live on the sea now because we always have the wind and the sea water. Kurt interrupted his sister and added, "In an online class, I learned that the best solution is to have additional supplies, like more reservoirs, like the one we are watching now. Can you imagine if the country had enough money to invest in these things, how comfortable everyone would be?" The water specialist cut in and said, "You know what will be ideal though? As an alternative water supply? Solar-powered desalination plants." The tour ended and they thanked the water guide and left the location taking one last glance at the breathtaking view. They were focusing on the educational issues so much that they didn't observe the amazing view before them. When they got back to the port, Mr. Charles shouted, "All aboard!" and he made the song of his ship's horn, and off they headed to St. Lucia for a next island adventure.
Fun fact! Did you know that 70% of the earth is made up of oceans and nearly the same amount of fresh water on the land is trapped in glaciers? It's pretty incredible stuff when you think about it. Now let's get back to the story. I wonder where Janelle and Joel are right now. They should be in St. Lucia, home of the majestic Python Mountains. And did you know its volcanic topography is absolutely stunning and is one of the main reasons people from near and far come to visit? Let's ask our readers Kyra and Jaden to see what is happening in St. Lucia with the twins.
When they arrived in St. Lucia, their St. Lucian friends, the GWP-C family, were anxiously awaiting their arrival because they had a surprise for them. They drove into the airport and they were confused in the beginning because airports were not a popular place anymore. But when they saw the helicopter ahead, the kids screamed in delight. "What? Is this for real? Wow!" "Yes, kids," said Mr. GWP-C. "We are all headed to see a dam from above. You would love the view. Of course, we will be going around the island too." Mr. and Mrs. GWP-C had two sons, Miguel and Derek, who are quite a handful and sometimes bold and impolite. They had done this tour many times, so they had an air about them as they walked towards the helicopter. "So I hear you are doing this Caribbean trip to find out about water problems? That sounds boring," Derek said with a laugh. Miguel ignored his brother and added, "Our main problem in St. Lucia is that we don't have enough water storage facilities. So I'm telling you now, the solution is plain and simple. We need to have more dams like the one we are about to see and more tanks too."
Janelle, write that down in your tablet quickly because you may not be able to write easily up in the air. I don't want to miss one moment of this helicopter experience. Joel said, and up and away they went. The views from the sky were incredible, and when they hovered over the dam, their eyes bulged. It was an amazing sight. It looked like a waterfall. Imagine if we had 10 more of those in the country. As breathtaking as this, all our water problems would go away and we would have more places to visit too. It's a win-win from all angles. Derek, do you all have water problems at your home? Joel asked. Nah, we have a big tank, so we always have water stored up, Derek boasted. But our neighbors have problems because sometimes they come over for some when their water goes. From the sky, for the remainder of the trip, all that was heard was a string of continuous wows. It was a superb day, and the Charles family returned to the yacht on a high.
Wherever the twins go, they seem to unravel some new information. I am definitely taking notes, and I hope you do too. Dominica is best known for its mountainous land with natural hot springs and tropical rainforests. Sounds like the perfect getaway for a vacation, doesn't it? Which reminds me, let's ask our readers, Brittany and DeAndre, how things are in Dominica.
At the stroke of sunrise, the family headed out for Dominica. When they arrived, the Dominican family, Miss Pear and her kids Louise and Bernard, took them to the interior to both experience the best of the nature island and to view some of the water issues. This is the land of 365 rivers. One river for every day of the year, Bernard said. Joel jokingly let out a fake yawn saying, "I've heard that like 1,000 times before." Janelle added, "Well, I guess that means you don't have any water shortage issues here." "Well, let us wait and see," Louise chimed in. They stopped abruptly by the side of the road in a village and were ushered out. The kids had no idea what they were supposed to see there. Then they saw it. Ahead of them, in a small community, were badly damaged pipelines. This is what causes water shortages in Dominica. These pipelines are badly damaged or destroyed from floods and tropical storms like Hurricane Maria.
Following the observation and after taking notes and photos, they continued on their tour and spent the rest of the day visiting waterfalls and rivers and marveling at the great bodies of water present on this small island with so much vegetation or forests. Close to one of the falls, they saw a spray of water like a geyser. It was a damaged pipe again. It had to be fixed soon because the pressure was so great that it looked like it could explode. Soon, all this water could cause the area to flood. They still went to the falls to bathe, but after 2 hours, what they feared would happen was happening. The landscape was flooding and the area was getting messy. The silt was entering the river quickly. Soon the water would be brown. They got out quickly and got ready to leave. Just before driving off, the water from the burst pipe stopped. Miss Pear answered the question forming in their heads before anyone asked, and she said with pride, "I called the water company when you went ahead to swim. They shut off the source and will soon be here to fix the pipe since it's a major one. It was clear to the kids why it was so easy for flooding and landslides to occur, especially when storms and hurricanes hit. It really weakens the pipe, and it is obviously very costly to fix or replace. The island is already full of water that any excess could easily cause rivers to flood. Back at the yacht, the Charles family tumbled in their beds, tired from the day's excursion, without lifting a finger to prepare for the following day.
I am so happy that the twins are safe and uncovering so much priceless information on water security. Go to www.GWP-Caribbean.org, answer the trivia questions, fill in your name and details, and that's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So do your best and good luck to you all! Montserrat is widely known for its beautiful coral reefs and its caves along the shore. I'd love to visit one day and go for a super duper cave adventure. Let's ask our readers what exactly the twins are doing in Montserrat.
A long journey awaited the family. They were heading for Montserrat. This volcanic island was partially destroyed years ago, and this fact had created more challenges for this small island. After arriving at the port, Mr. George, who worked with the utilities company, and his son Sean took them directly to visit one of the popular drainage channels known as guts by the locals. Mr. George said, "I don't know how much you need to know, kids, but our main water source is springs. We have enough rainfall, so the most likely issue would come from prolonged drought. We have no big rivers, but many drainage channels. We call them guts here, and this is an example of one." "This is amazing! I like the rocks," Janelle squealed in delight. "You can drink directly from it," Sean told Janelle and Joel. "No thank you. We are fine. We have had some bad experiences with poor water quality," Joel complained.
Well, this is not the case here. Once you drink from this, you will crave this water every day. You will dream of it. You will taste it in your dreams, Sean said, smiling. Mr. and Mrs. Charles tried the water. Sean and his dad also drank handfuls, but Janelle and Joel still refused to taste it. Mr. George, being the kind man he was, gave the twins bottled water, and everyone was happy in the end. After leaving the site, the children also wanted to get a view of the area that suffered the greatest damage after the volcano erupted years ago. It was usually called the Pompeii of the Caribbean. They also got a little tour of the island and its beautiful sights. They turned in early back on the boat because the days ahead would be long and tiring, so they had to grab enough rest when they could.
There is so much to learn and so much to do when it comes to water security. Let's see where this jubilant adventure will take us next. If you love birding and white sandy beaches, then Antigua and Barbuda is the perfect place for you. Gioia will tell us more about what the twins have discovered in Antigua and Barbuda.
After leaving Montserrat, the family sailed on up to Antigua and Barbuda. They arrived at midday and found the heat unbearable here. It was more severe than all the other islands. They traveled from the port by taxi after meeting up with a longtime friend, Mr. Joseph, and his two kids, Maurice and Marie. "Dad, can you ask the George to put on the AC, please? It's too hot. I think I'll faint," cried Janelle. The driver, overhearing her, said, "Sorry, kid, the AC is not working. You know we have a bad drought here right now. Also, there is a lack of water everywhere. Marie explained. Mr. Joseph added, "Yes, that's right. It is the most severe the country has experienced in about 100 years. Marie, who often complained about the heat in her island, said sarcastically, "And the award for the hottest island goes to..." Ignoring her sarcasm, her brother turned to the twins and said, "Dad is going to bring us to see some sites where the land is extra dry with a lot of cracks and only shrubs grow there. You will see what drought looks like." They drove around the bit and picked up drinking water and other supplies. In many areas, the land was parched and cracked. The group went to Potworth Dam. The dam, which once supplied 1/3 of the fresh water for the island, was now empty and the ground scorched by the sun. Mr. Joseph explained, "Freshwater resources on the island are limited and have been poorly managed, so improving these two areas would solve the problems we have here with lack of water." Marie, putting her sarcastic attitude aside, joined in again and added, "Because of the lack of water resources on the islands of both Antigua and Barbuda, we have to rely on desalination heavily." She is right. There is no perennial water sources on the island, so residents have systems to ensure some level of water security, Mr. Joseph added. The children chattered, took loads of photos, drank loads of the bottled water they bought earlier, and headed back to their yacht with the Joseph family, where it was much cooler. There they cooked, ate, drank, played board games, and had a merry time despite the heat.
Here's a riddle. What do you call dangerous precipitation? You'll never guess. It's called a rain of terror. You get it? A rain of terror? Okay, now let's get back to the story. Everyone loves a white sandy beach, but have you ever heard of a black sand beach? It's just as beautiful and utterly amazing. St. Kitts and Nevis are actually both volcanic islands and therefore have both black and white sand beach. Now let's find out more from our readers in St. Kitts and Nevis.
The next morning they followed the normal routine and set sail. This time they headed to St. Kitts and Nevis. They linked up with the Williams family. The two kids, Timothy and Wendy, were excited to be meeting visitors. Their vacation so far was boring, so they were happy for this little outing. Well, they were in for a treat. They were going ziplining. After getting an overview about St. Kitts and the areas they were going to see from the sky, the guide explained a few things to them relating to water issues. Maintaining good water quality in St. Kitts and Nevis is the greatest challenge because of pollution, deforestation, and soil erosion. This is why we are in the business of encouraging people to treasure the forested areas. We also encourage visitors to maintain cleanliness in the environment. Believe it or not, sometimes fecal matter, meaning poop, is found in wells. The children all said, "Ew!" in unison like a choir. They then got the instructions on ziplining. This was followed by a short trial run. After that, they set out flying through the forest air through a canopy of trees, zipping past rivers all the way down to the valley. It was incredible and a whole lot of fun. The kids felt they could repeat that all day long. They were even lucky to glimpse the vervet monkey, which is a non-native primate originated from Africa, brought to the islands by early sailors. They are also a pest to farmers and landowners since they raid plants and trees. At the end of the tour, the guide brought them on a short hike through the forested areas and showed them deforestation they glimpsed from the air up close, and also they saw evidence of pollution in the near river. "Sir, what is the main water source on this island?" Joel asked. "Well, young man, the Bastille Valley Aquifer on the island accounts for 40% of the country's potable water supply. Sadly though, this important source of supply is under threat from urban encroachment and pollution. Okay, sir, I understand now why you keep stressing on pollution. Thank you for all the information and the exciting tour, Janelle ended. They went to a restaurant after, and Timothy and Wendy decided to prank the twins because they learned that they loved pranks. Wendy distracted them to make them look in another direction, and Timothy dropped bits of chocolate in their glasses of water. After they both drank from the glass without watching, Wendy screamed, "What is at the bottom of your water? Ew!" Timothy and Wendy didn't expect the reaction they got. Janelle started crying helplessly while Joel tried to throw up. There was a commotion of scolding and the Williams kids trying to explain that it was a joke and that it was chocolate. Although the day was fun, the two pairs of kids did not say a word to each other after. Back at the boat when their mood changed, Janelle laughed and said, "Joel, that was a really good prank though." "Yes, better than any one we pulled off in the past." They both cracked up with laughter, reliving the prank and all the events of the day. After that, they fell sound asleep to rest well for the next day.
I'm so glad that I get to be a part of this adventure too. Guess what? We are giving away 15 Kindle versions of GWP-C's book, Saving Water, The Journey of Two Caribbean Kids to Understanding Water Security. All you have to do is head on over to GWP-C's website and answer the GWP-C Reads trivia questions based on today's show. Submit your name and details and you'll have a chance to win! Oh, and don't forget, this giveaway is only valid for today during the premiere of GWP-C Reads. So hurry up and get those fingers moving! Haiti was the first independent Black republic in the world, which set off a chain reaction for others as well. When I think of Haiti, I think of resilience and beauty and fearlessness. But that's just my opinion. Let's hear more from our reader, Coleman, in Haiti.
For the next 2 days, the Charles family sailed the seas headed for Haiti. Mrs. Charles spoke fluent French, so she was going to be the official translator when they arrived. The official language in this country, however, was French Creole. Pierre and Josette were two kids of the Louise family. Luckily for the twins, they spoke a little English. Bonjour, Janelle said, practicing her little knowledge of French she picked up at school. Everyone smiled, and Miss Louise responded with, "Comment vas-tu, ma petite?" The lost expression on Janelle's face made everyone laugh. That is enough French practice for me today, thank you, Janelle sighed. They headed out to the rural areas of Haiti by a tour bus to get the true picture of the water issues present. Pierre told the twins that almost half the population does not have access to water, and more than half the population walks long distances to get water from man-made cisterns. Along the roads, they saw both women and children with buckets of water, walking in the hot sun. The twins realized that they had a lot to be grateful for. Some children were their age, and they were old women too, with buckets on their heads. I think I know what a solution can be for this problem. I think they need more tanks and wells in these areas. Maybe a billionaire can help with that, Janelle suggested. Great thinking, dear, her mom said with pride. She knew her daughter was cooking up ideas in her mind. The tour bus then took them to other landmarks to appreciate some attractions that Haiti had to offer. It was a truly beautiful country. It was clear that many citizens did not even know of the magnificent sights in their life or never got the chance to enjoy them. At the end of that long day, they spent the night in the home of the Haitian family, enjoying the local cuisine, and listening and dancing to the popular compas music of Haiti.
Why aren't people taking water security more seriously? With the way things are going, they really ought to, don't you think? Let's join the twins as they move on to their next adventure. Jamaica, Jamaica! Where do I even begin? Reggae, sports, beaches, jerk seasoning? There's just too much to cover. Let me instead pass the mic to our readers, Zoe and Colleen in Jamaica.
The next few days were spent sailing to Jamaica. It was a very long journey, and when they arrived, they were extremely tired. As a result, they were not able to go on any trips on that day. The following day, the Powell family and their daughter Davina picked them up at 8 o'clock a.m. They set off with high spirits to Kingston to visit a water hauling company that delivers water to various places. When they got to the company, the owner greeted them warmly. He spoke to them about his company and his trucks. But when he said, "So the main water issue in Jamaica is lack of adequate rainfall, which has badly affected our supply systems for the reservoirs and dams," Janelle grabbed her tablet to take notes. He explained to them why companies like his are so important. He added that they provide a solution and can even assist more if they were able to deliver more frequently and have more schedules to supply the commodity to schools, hospitals, clinics, and health centers, which are considered to be priority institutions in light of the pandemic.
What about storing water at home and having personal tanks? Can that help too? Joel asked. Of course. That is always a great solution too, especially in the dry season, the owner replied. From all that they learned so far on this trip, the twins gave recommendations for ways they can increase their water supply. They also suggested desalination plants as a main one. I see your kids are very experienced and knowledgeable for your age. I'm impressed, the company owner exclaimed. They thanked him for his time, and the kids got a little drive in the water truck to end the visit before leaving. He offered them all water, and they thanked him for his hospitality. The two families spent the rest of the day touring parts of Jamaica and at the same time observing anything and everything related to water. It was quite an enjoyable day, and they were not exhausted, so they went out for dinner at a local restaurant with the Powell family. The next day, they set sail bright and early for the Bahamas.
We have been having so much fun, I almost forgot that we're also learning about water security too. From the turquoise water to the white sandy beaches, the Bahamas is known to the world as a getaway island for sun and for fun. Let's check in on the twins through our readers Danielle and Zarek in the Bahamas.
During their journey to the Bahamas, they experienced some really bad weather while on the ocean, with large waves tossing the boat around, but they got ahead of it and got to a port in Grand Bahama just in time. It was raining heavily and continuously. A water specialist, Mr. Roll, and his kids Pauline and Stephen came to meet them at the port. Despite the rain, they headed off on their trip to a desalination plant and other sites. They got to the desalination plant and their tour began. Janelle and Joel had learned so much about water issues in the region that they spoke about it like adults. Their parents overheard them questioning the Roll kids. Most companies use desalination plants here, they heard Pauline say in response to a question, but our whole system needs to change. We need better water management, water security, and water rates.
Mr. Roll told them that it was very costly to run a desalination plant because of the cost of electricity. Well, why don't you consider solar-powered desalination plants here? Joel suggested. It was amazing to see how they picked up information from other countries and could apply it elsewhere. That's an excellent idea, young man. I can see you did your research, Mr. Roll exclaimed. Mom, we can be advisors now. What do you think? Joel boasted with pride. Of course, dear. That's the idea, replied Mistress Charles. After the long tour of the plant, they realized with joy that the rain stopped. As they left the site, Mr. Roll explained to the kids that groundwater is also relied upon, but there is the problem of contamination with soakaway and pit latrines. He added that this groundwater is threatened by storm surge during hurricanes, like Hurricane Dorian. After the visit, they embarked on an even longer tour of Grand Bahama, enjoying the scenic spots and a delicious picnic on the beach. It was a day well spent, despite the poor weather at the beginning.
Knock, knock. Who's there? It's Water. Water who? What are you waiting for? Open the door. That one is my favorite. Don't you just love knock knock jokes? Belize is best known for its scuba diving sites and the world's second largest barrier reef, which includes the Great Blue Hole. If you love the jungle and the beach, believe me, Belize is just right for you. Now let's ask our readers, Carly and Alvin, what the twins are up to in my home, Belize.
The family set sail the following day, as was the norm now, and this time they were headed to their final destination before returning to Grenada. This time it was a mainland territory in Central America called Belize. Kids, Belize is known as a hidden jewel in Central America. Let's hope we find it, their dad said jokingly. They made a quick stop at Ambergris Key and took an hour to visit a water plant there, then left for the mainland. When they docked by the port of Belize, they took a dinghy to go ashore. They all had their backpacks since they also had some exploring to do in this eco-friendly country. John and Anne Martinez and their parents were awaiting their arrival. The plan was to go turn along the riverways in Belize City. They got into a large speedboat with a covering used for tours and went up the river. There were buildings alongside the river at the water's edge. After 5 minutes, the engine of the boat cut off abruptly and could not restart. The boatman pulled at the engine but could not start it. He then took 2 long logs and with his co-pilot, he guided the boat towards the bank of the river. It seemed that they ran out of fuel, so the co-pilot left to purchase. The adults were not impressed by this, but the kids thought it was adventurous.
While sitting in the boat, the kids started observing their environment. Oh my! There is quite a lot of garbage in the water, Janelle said. Yes, that happens a lot here. People throw away things in the water, or sometimes because of land pollution. When it rains, it ends up in the river, Anne explained. Every month in school, we create posters to protest against pollution. Our teachers said if there were big movements to clean the rivers and campaign against pollution, we can have water of a good quality, therefore improving water security, John added. After refueling the boat, they went off speeding up the river and observed soapy water in different parts of the river. We also have this problem of chemical pollution. A company is organizing a call to action campaign against pollution, and I believe that this can help solve the problem, John commented. That's great! That gives me an idea for when we return home, Joel said with excitement.
The tour continued for another hour, after which they went out in the sea to visit the Keys and enjoy the Belizean coastal life.
Let's take tips from the twins and join them in securing safe and sustainable water sources for everyone. The following day, the Charles family left Belize, headed in a beeline for Grenada through the Caribbean Sea. They were tired of sailing and Mr. Charles needed a rest, so they all had to assist. Also, a possible hurricane was forming in the Atlantic Ocean and he didn't want to be caught in that. They arrived back in Grenada without any difficulty or unfortunate events, and after entering their home, they crashed on their beds from fatigue and slept for almost 12 hours straight. The kids had 1 week vacation left and they had to make the most of it. Their mother helped them to put all their information together in a slide presentation and also leaflets. When they returned to school, the twins were asked to make their presentation to the class. They used the auditorium to avoid distraction from nearby classes. They shared the slide presentation, which had many photos of different sites in different countries. They spoke about all their experiences and difficulties they faced. They also shared with their classmates the main water issues in each country and a possible solution. Everyone was impressed and participated in the presentation, asking countless questions. At the end of the presentation, they felt like they had experienced the journey also. From this experience and after viewing this presentation, we now present a call to action to you, said Joel, beaming with pride. The twins said in perfect union, "My fellow classmates, we all need to work together in the entire region, both children and adults, schools, companies, civil society, governments, and all other institutions. As our anthem says, with heads and hearts and hands in unity, to create a water-secure Caribbean." The twins invited their classmates to become water changemakers, and they started preparations to launch a Water Changemakers Club at the Grenada Academy. The day arrived quickly, and they got permission to use the auditorium again. Janelle and Joel went to the microphone, and Janelle spoke first, beaming with pride. "Today marks the beginning of something very great. Today, we officially launched the club Water Changemakers with the mission to encourage both young and old to conserve, recycle, and protect water." Joel ended by saying, "It is a precious resource and we can all make a change. So sign up today and pledge to work together to make a difference. Together, we will fight with our voices to ensure water security in this country and the Caribbean." The students gave them both a round of applause and cheered so loudly that the entire auditorium seemed to shake. And with that, we conclude today's activities. But before I go, I must mention and thank the incredible children readers from 15 Caribbean countries who've helped me in hosting this one-of-a-kind event. Thank you, kids, and a huge thank you to your amazing parents for their support as well. This adventure would not have been possible without the book, Saving Water, The Journey of Two Caribbean Kids to Understanding Water Security, authored by GWP-C and Kwamina Brizan-Arnaud. Thank you as well to the GWP-C partners from across the Caribbean that contributed details on their water issues and solutions that formed a major part of this story. And of course, thanks to you, our wonderful viewers, for joining us today on this momentous occasion. I'm Lisa Lewis, and I hope that after this story, you will feel empowered to become a water change maker yourself.